Here we go. So you can see right off the bat, Ninja Gaiden, you want to pick up those Ninpo items. That's going to allow you to use your special weapons. There's several different special weapons in the Ninja Gaiden series. Most notable for this game is the Spin Slash that they're both going to pick up in this stage. Spin Slash, most powerful weapon, kills the bosses in one hit and is available in most stages.
Yeah, that's right. Ninja Gaiden 1 is just this is an old school precision platformer on the NES. And yeah, as soon as we were saying, a lot of the mechanics in the speedrun are around collecting Spin Slash, and just in general, the game, it's just around really, really tight platforming, wall jumping really quickly, which is actually quite a difficult mechanic. You see some Dexter squeezing in some practice here, and Ohon squeezing in some of the sword canceling practice, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Absolutely. Both players with an excellent stage 119 on the clock. That's pretty much perfect. So they're going to be striving for certain times in each stage as they pick up the requisite Ninpo, and you do have to recollect the items as you go along. You lose Spin Slash after each stage.
And Dexter missing a Ninpo drop, dropping down on the ladder a little bit there. That lower Ninpo count might force him to change his strategy up a little bit.
Yeah, you can cancel using the Spin Slash in midair by pressing down, because if you just press B, you're always going to use the Spin Slash, which costs 5 Ninpo.
Ohon taking a brief lead here as we wrap up stage 2-1. Probably going to see about a 110 on his timer, which is pretty solid. We'll see both players swapping out their Spin Slash for the Windmill Shuriken, which is probably the only instance you'll see something like that throughout this run.
Well, Ohon may use it again in Act 6 possibly, and he dodged a hammer there.
Yeah, that was very close.
Pretty close. Yeah, he could have died there. Those Hammer Brothers can throw their hammers at random intervals, random times, and random trajectories, so they can kill you pretty easily.
Yeah, and given the knockback in this game when you take damage, it's very dangerous when you're platforming and you have to deal with some of the randomness of at least just the Hammer Brothers. Everything else is relatively consistent in this game.
And you can see here the first instance of the invincible fire wheel. It's the only time you're going to see it in Ninja Gaiden 1, but you'll see it throughout the series.
Both players getting a really good bat boost there in the last screen of 2-2.
And they're going to be able to pick up Spin Slash once again as it's needed for the boss. So looks like the Ninpo situation has worked itself out. Dexter is okay, so they want 10 going into the boss. Very close there. Nice adjustment by Dexter, as he could have got killed by that Hammer Brother.
So
and that
107s for both players, very consistent 2-2. As you see, that Spin Slash makes quick work of these bosses here. But you actually won't be seeing Spin Slash in the next act. It's the only act without Spin Slash. So both players here in 3-1 will make it their priority to collect the Art of the Fire Wheel power-up, which is pretty much the next best item for dealing damage against bosses.
And in order to do that, they're going to have to do a tricky shuriken throw coming up here as they jump off of this ledge, because the Art of the Fire Wheel is not on the screen, but you can see it just scroll on the screen in time to pick it up. Ohon with some very nice movement there. Let's see if either of these players can get a 131.
Yeah. Ohon just had a perfect 3-1 right there.
130, very, very nice. You need good clock luck in order to get 131. Dexter also getting 130. These guys are pretty much neck and neck at this point. Ohon may go for some different strategies in this stage. There is a bird boost and manipulation that you can do that saves maybe about half a second to a second. He is going for it.
I heard Dexter also picked this up, so yeah, we'll see what he did. But
Dexter was not able to get it.
His timing right there just made the bird despawn. Ohon still has the bird on screen.
Looks like he's got the bird, and
he's got the boost. Very nice.
Wow.
That's very difficult to do.
Very impressive by Ohon. Dexter still keeping pace. Again, a lot of the time savers in this game are pretty small. They seem marginal, but they certainly add up over the course of a run, especially in a game this short.
Okay, Ohon's in. This last jump is very, very tricky. It's just pixel jump. Both players made it over.
Both players get it, thank goodness, because that is about a 50-second time loss if you miss that jump.
A very nice quick kill by Ohon with the boss on the left side of the screen. We'll see if Dexter can match that. Oh, missed one Art of the Fire Wheel shot. Still a good boss kill.
Very well played by both runners so far, and we get into Act 4 where they're going to get Spin Slash a little bit early this time, but there are some tricky boosts coming up. There are some Hammer Brothers and some other things to watch out for.
Yeah, coming up right here, we'll see a bat boost, which is it's a very precise timing. I'd say it's like a 2-frame window, and if they slightly miss it, okay.
It's okay. You walk off the edge and you
They can safely drop down, but there is a small chance that they might
Dexter can catch up a little bit here, and he hits it.
He does get it.
So Dexter is actually getting back in it a little bit. Ohon
squeezing in these extra wall climbing. Holy crap. Very, very nice.
Very nice. Dexter getting a little bit of wall climbing. Now they've both saved enough ninpo to use spin slash here to make this act a little bit easier and negate some of the luck that can happen from the Hammer Brothers, as we like to call them. And Dexter getting some bad luck with the Hammer Brother there, collecting the ninpo though, and they should both have an easy time on the bridge. The goal for this stage is you want to get a 120. That's a pretty fast time.
Okay, Dexter now out of ninpo, so when this next guy drops down... Oh, no, okay, the green samurai behind him is far enough behind him so that he can still make it over this gap.
And now moving getting the 120.
Very nice.
No problem. His run is going very, very well so far. Let's see if Dexter gets the boost. He does. 119.
So moving into 4-3, this is where the game really begins to ramp up in difficulty. This is a much longer stage than the previous stages. Lots of difficult platforming. Ohan making it up to spin slash that Hammer Brother. That's kind of a tricky jump there. We'll see some really tricky wall climbing as Ohan sets up this bullet boost from this machine gun guy.
And there's going to be a lot of damage boosting throughout this game.
There it is.
You're going to see that a lot. And Ohan, again, as long as he can get these next few damage boosts, going to have another very nice stage time, and then you'll get a one-hit kill on the boss. And he's through. Looks like he's going to be a 115, which is really strong.
Very, very nice. And once again, spin slash making quick work of the bosses in this game.
Dexter having some bad luck with the Hammer Brothers so far. They've really been giving him a tough time, but he's been adjusting pretty nicely. So he's keeping pace. Both of them are on very good pace right now. And both players entering a very dangerous stage.
Ohan gets the Hammer Brother manipulation.
Unbelievable.
By stopping the screen right as the Hammer Brother spawns and then moving again, it makes him drop down a little bit, squeezing just enough room for a boost.
That is an unbelievable piece of tech there, and Ohan just getting it easily. This stage is one long screen, so if either player were to die, they'd have to start all the way back at the beginning of the stage. It's one of the worst deaths that you can have in the game. Ohan going to go for the bird boost here. And he's going to have to be a little careful. He's going to use the windmill shuriken. That was a good backup strat. He also picks up the health there with that backup strat as well, because you do have to take a lot of damage in the stage. Dexter getting the bird boost as well, and he's going to have to play it a little safe. He just wasn't feeling it. Good choice.
It's way better than taking a death and losing about 45 seconds there.
Absolutely. Still a 115. Solid time for Dexter. Dexter keeping pace, but Ohan is just on an amazing run at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. This is looking very nice for team... Which team is this? FrankerZ. Team FrankerZ.
No, I think it's Team Kappa.
Dang. I know I should have kept these notes up. All right. So moving into 5-2, you'll see the players really stocking up on a lot of ninpo. They'll need as much spin slashes as they can muster throughout 5-3, which is the next stage. Ohan barely grabbing the bottom of that cliff to make it over that jump right.
Oh, missed the boost, but still a 116. Extremely strong time. Dexter has a little bit of an opportunity to passively make up some time if he can get through this screen nicely.
You see Dexter taking the alternative route over the top there.
And he gets
getting the boost up to the top.
116,
very nice.
116 as well. He's got enough ninpo here. And there is a dangerous Hammer Brother at the end of the screen. Let's see how Ohan handles it. He's careful.
Yep, he used a spin slash just in case.
No reason.
If that guy throws a hammer just as you're coming up to the ladder, he can knock you off the edge.
And very tricky boost coming up here for Ohan. He gets it easily. That is the biggest time saver in Ninja Gaiden in terms of damage boosting. You skip climbing that entire ladder. It's Dexter's turn. Can he get it? Dexter, no problem.
Very, very strong stage by both players here so far. Dexter coming up to the last screen, Ohan coming up to the boss.
And both players again with enough ninpo and maintaining spin slash. We're headed into Act 6, the finale of Ninja Gaiden 1, and things are not going to get any easier.
Beautiful 5-3 by both players, if I might add. They both just completely crushed it. It's a very, very difficult stage.
Absolutely.
But, as we're moving into the final act of the game, 6-1 is kind of the calm before the storm. Some of the enemies here can be a bit trolly, just with how the hitboxes work, but I don't think the players will have any problems. We'll have to see what happens in stage 6-2, which is one of the more difficult stages in terms of
execution. You'll see Ohan getting a little flashy here. He's using the throwing star again. This is to make sure that none of the enemies can troll him at all. And he is probably going to use the orange throwing star again here for the same reason. Got to get rid of that Hammer Brother. See, that hammer was going to get him, but he made sure it didn't. Dexter is through with a 130. So both players amazing.
With the appearance of these jetpack ninjas in 6-2, some of these jumps are very tricky. We see Ohan manipulating the position of that one jetpack ninja to get a slight boost up to that ladder. Very nice.
Dexter keeping pace, though. I mean, both of these guys are on incredible pace right now for this game. Let's see if Dexter goes for the jetpack boost.
He does make it through the first room. That first room is very, very scary. We have Ohan in the AVGN room, making it look quite easy.
And nice little damage boost there. We're going to see probably one more damage boost at the end of the screen here. And he does not go for the task boost. A wise decision. Just going to take the normal boost.
Okay, and he's in there. 108 is an incredible time for 16.
108 is crazy. All right, 6-3 has a couple tricky damage boosts. Ohan manages his Ninpo in a very smart way, which allows him to get up there.
He was not quite able to make it the first time, but he got a little unlucky. Recover. Very, very nice.
A little bit of bad luck on the hammer brother.
Now, Ohan's discarding the rest of his Ninpo here, so he can make one slash on this guy, which is critical in setting up this bird boost. Okay, it looks like he's in good shape.
And he had to skip it. No problem. He's still in the lead. That'll give Dexter an opportunity to catch up by about 3 seconds, though.
But it's impressive that Ohan was able to quickly adapt and notice that it was slightly off and still make it across relatively quickly.
Yes, because that would have been a bad death. It definitely
Dexter
would have put his
also
team
with a pretty solid setup.
Dexter gets the boost. Nicely done. And Ohan heading into the final boss rush. There's going to be 3 bosses. This is kind of a staple in Ninja Gaiden games. The first one is free because he does have Spin Slash, but after that, the Spin Slash is gone. He's going to have to use his sword canceling, which is done by mashing down and B while you're in midair, and you can get multiple slashes in instead of just getting 2.
Watch closely for the controllers on both players as they prepare to do this very difficult technical maneuver to cancel their sword slashes and defeat these bosses quickly here.
And Ohan's very, very great first cycle. You want to get 3 cycles here. Second cycle wasn't as good. Dexter is great at mashing. This is another chance for him to catch up a little bit. And Ohan having a little bit of trouble here. Dexter with a good first cycle. And Ohan Jackie is down. And Dexter get him. There it is.
Very nice. All
right.
Final boss. This is very critical here. If either player dies, they get sent back to the beginning of Act 6.
And both players are probably going to forgo killing the tail in this scenario.
And he got it.
And he got it. Dexter having to back away and kill the tail. Those goos deal 3 damage apiece. Dexter is going to have to take it safe here for the sake of his team. He's got to be careful. Cannot afford to get hit here. Oh, thank goodness.
Ninja Gaiden 1.
He was 1 hit away. And we're already into Ninja Gaiden 2, as you can see. We have an amazing race here so
beautiful
far.
Performance by Dexter and Ohan here.
Okay, and you can see that Gus has already started there for Team Kappa. And one of the big differences in Ninja Gaiden 2 is you don't get to use Spin Slash, but you're going to get these shadow clones, which allow you to deal extra damage to bosses. There's the first shadow clone, and you can see Jimmy is up on Team FrankerZ. So both of these runners very experienced in this game, but again, their first marathon run. So let's see if the pressure is getting to them. Both of their teammates did their job. Now it's their turn.
Jimmy with that shadow clone pickup without defeating that enemy. That's slightly faster. So we're already seeing some small time savings coming from Team FrankerZ.
And a decent kill here, but Jimmy can catch up a little bit if he can get the quick kill on the boss, which is to get him before he hits that wall. Let's see if Jimmy can do it. Not quite able to get it, but that's okay. Kill.
So in Ninja Gaiden 2, as Sinister said, there is no more Spin Slash, so no more instant boss kills. But the next best thing is to stock up on 2 of these shadow clones, and typically use Art of the Firewheel. That way you can do up to 3 damage per attack with your ninjutsu in this game.
And one of the other main differences in Ninja Gaiden 2 is you're going to start to see the stage hazards. So in the next stage after the train, there is going to be some snow falling, and you're going to see it kind of blowing in different directions. And the wind can certainly carry you into one of the many pits that you will encounter in any Ninja Gaiden game. So having to wait for the wind to change directions here before you can proceed. You're going to see Gus navigating through the screen a little carefully because it's very easy to die right there. So he takes it a little safe and he's
jump very safely. It's quite scary. So you'll notice that each time a player enters a new screen in Stage 3-2, the wind cycle resets, and it's the same cycle every time. So the players can plan out exactly how they want to use the wind to their advantage, including this little gap crossing with that nice damage boost.
And Gus is through.
Ooh,
missing the bird boost.
Yeah, Gus trying to manipulate that bird so he can get a slight boost up to the ladder. If Jimmy gets that, that'll shave off a little bit more time.
That will. And Gus not getting the clip. He's going to get a 207. Jimmy on pace for a 210 here. Let's see if he can finish it out.
Yep, looking good.
That would catch him up 3 seconds. Nice quick kill there. You can see that they jump during the boss fight. That's actually
and
the
Gus
cancel.
getting Jimmy getting that inside ladder grab, very nice.
He got a 209, so he caught up a little bit.
So both players making it out to a very scary stage. So this is probably going to set the pace for the rest of the run. I'm sure they're quite relieved right now.
Oh yeah,
and
that's a tough stage.
You're seeing the next stage hazard here in stage 3-1, which is the kind of
the
darkness. Yes, it cycles on and off, so you can't see where you're platforming. But these players really don't need to see the stage when they're speedrunning it.
Yeah, these guys have played it enough times. They know where everything is. They know where the enemies are. Gus having a little bit of trouble there.
Recovering nicely, though.
Yeah, he has been recovering. The main thing is to just not die because, like I mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of randomness in this game. In fact, there's virtually none. So it just comes down to execution, which almost puts more pressure on you because you really don't have anybody to blame but yourself if there's any mistakes.
Yeah, and any deaths in this game also forfeit your 2 shadow clones, making any boss kills significantly slower.
Absolutely.
So moving into 3-2, this is everyone's favorite Ninja Gaiden song, I think. Really difficult platforming stage here as we see Gus coming up to this really tricky section with these kind of staggered platforms and birds, but with a very nice consistent way through the stage here.
And you'll notice these guys are doing this kind of sword slashing off of the ladder they gain height and momentum while they're doing that. They're not just doing that to showboat. That does actually save time.
Yeah, each time they do that, it saves between 2 and 3 frames depending on how well they executed it, but it's also a very risky maneuver because just due to the nature of the input, they could accidentally use ninjutsu or they could just slow down. So it's kind of a sacrifice there.
All right, let's see if Jimmy can get the quick kill. He's notorious for getting this.
Yeah, Jimmy having a really fantastic
not
3-2,
quite,
by
but
the way.
still
207
very
on the timer is very nice, though.
Yes, a very nice stage by both players. Now, both players are picking up these scroll items, which actually increase your overall ninpo count. You can see that they're both at 60. There's generally 1 scroll per act, and if you miss the first scroll, because they're generally placed in difficult spots to pick up, there's oftentimes a backup scroll. So for instance, in the next screen that Gus is in right here, there is going to be a scroll and a backup scroll in case he misses the first one because you can die.
Yeah, and if the players do miss out on the act scroll, it makes the final stages of the game a little bit more difficult as having a maximum ninpo for the final boss is critical for a solid time in this game.
Absolutely, and both players getting through.
Yeah, this last platforming section is a little bit tricky with the mortars coming up here and these like really thin platforms. They want to time out the use of their invincible fire wheel so that it expires right at the last moment. Both players boosting into 4-2 very nicely.
And there's going to be some water physics coming up here. Gus coming up to a really difficult screen. He's going to have to do some tricky damage boosting to kind of clip through a wall up here. Let's see if he can pull it off. Manipulating the bird.
He's up to the second platform.
And he's through.
On top.
He got it. All right, Jimmy's turn.
Nice. Jimmy has an alternative setup for this. I'm going to see if he does not go for it. Just this positioning of the bird.
Okay,
yeah, here we go.
He does. Wow, very nice.
So frames are being shaved.
Yes, Jimmy has been slowly catching up over the course of this run. Both players have been playing very well, but Jimmy, ooh. And Jimmy with a death, that's a killer because he's going to have to go back. There's only 1 shadow clone that he can get, and he has to backtrack for it if he's going to. He does. And then he's going to have to use Art of the Fire Wheel to get the boss kill.
This is actually one of the scariest places in the game to die at. Just this last room of 4-2 is huge. Luckily, he died on the very first section of it, so it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
And Jimmy, well prepared with the backup strats. He knows exactly what he's doing, so he's not losing too much time.
Okay, Gus moving into 5-1 here. This is a really short stage. Ooh, unfortunately, he's missed out on the invincible fire wheel. That's going to slow down some of the strategy in 5-1. He's noticed he's clipping over the top of the wall there. As the top of the screen works kind of strange with the walls in this game. Unfortunately, he's taking a little bit of extra damage.
Yeah, he is taking extra damage here, which could come back to bite him because he does have to take a lot of damage in the next stage. There's not going to be health for a while. There is 1 health in the next screen, but it costs a lot of time to get.
Okay.
Let's see if
he's not going for the wall clip. Touching those spikes does 3 damage, so Gus wants to kind of take this as safely as possible and make it all the way to the health.
Now you're going to see a 211 there. Now watch Jimmy's screen because he can catch up. He got the boost very well. He may catch up 10 seconds here. He gets a 221. That's 10 seconds that he just caught up.
Okay, and they are about 10 seconds apart right now. So this is it's now kind of become a more close race. We've kind of switched up a bit, but
Jimmy doing a great job recovering after that death.
Okay, Gus now at 2 HP. He's really down to 1
there's
HP.
a health
He's really
right
looking
here.
For this health.
Yeah, he needs this health immediately.
Okay.
Making sure he gets it, but losing a little time in the process. Meanwhile, Jimmy is just trucking on through. He forgoes the health. He doesn't really need it.
So 5-2, I guess the hazard in this is just the slippery ice. Unlike most games. The ice physics in this is actually quite nice when doing a speed run, because when you slash on the ground, you don't slow down. Now both players.
Jimmy is actually almost in the lead now. He caught up quite a bit by getting a damage boost there that Gus missed a couple times. So now it's really, really neck and neck right now.
So in the middle of the second game here at AGDQ, both players tying it up.
And another quick boss kill there.
Ash cars down on both screens.
All right, now these runners have to be careful not to get complacent, because Act 6 is actually pretty easy compared to the rest of the game. It's really straightforward. There's not a lot of opportunity for mistakes, but if you take too much damage, it can cause problems.
Yes.
So you do have to be careful.
These are really short stages. The only thing you have to worry about is collecting the scroll here in 6-1. It looks like both players have collected it,
and
just managing your health, because there's a lot of damage boosting occurring in 6-2.
And using a little bit of a safe strat there, both of them, to manage their health and make sure, because as Duckfist mentioned, they are going to take a lot of damage in the next stage here, and then hopefully set up a quick kill on the boss. And it's a dead heat right now. This is unbelievable.
Yeah. Both players with pretty good health. This is going to be a pretty safe neck and neck Act 6, I think. So it'll all be determined by what happens in Act 7.
And Act 7 is absolutely brutal. Both very players. Wow. Now you can see both players are discarding some of those fire wheels, because there is a countdown at the end of the stage. Ninpo countdown.
Both players still have the same amount of Ninpo. So
and they have the same amount, so they are still tied.
So moving into 7-1, this is where the game really kicks it into high gear. This is a very, very difficult platforming stage. You're manipulating the position of spawns. You have to make sure you collect all of the right Ninpo. Look, both players getting a really nice wall damage boost to instantly jump off of the inside of the wall there.
And the main thing is to get through 7-1, because it is dangerous, and if you die, you're in big trouble.
This third screen of 7-1 is extremely tricky. How you boost up to the top here. Let's see if both players manage to do it.
And both players using similar strategies.
Okay. Gus slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, Jimmy pulling ahead.
Extremely tricky screen.
Jimmy with just slightly better movement, getting ahead.
However, everyone has the scroll, 100 max Ninpo, good Ninpo count right now, good health.
211.
Moving into 7-2, it's looking pretty good as long as the players can just maintain their cool and execute well. I think this will be a close race.
Yes, it will. A lot of damage boosting. The final boss rush is pretty much free, but you might see some different strategies. Jimmy may go for a quick kill on Jackio. Gus might forego that. Gus having a little bit of trouble here.
Yes, this first
got to be
very,
really
very
careful.
He still has good health, so I think he can recover here.
There are going to be some health drops coming up later in the stage, but Gus has to be very careful not to die here. He could die in the next screen if he takes things a little too aggressively. Meanwhile, Jimmy
trying to set up a really tricky bird boost, but
he almost fell down. Wow.
Okay,
oh boy.
He manages to boost
he gets
up there,
through. He gets through.
Improvising.
And now things are evening up just a little bit again. There's one final health drop in this, and I think both players are probably going to go for it based on how much health they have. Let's see.
Definitely, I would certainly go for
Jimmy
it.
goes ahead and gets it. It does cost a few frames. Gus probably also going to go for it. Oh, nope, he's going to have to skip it because he missed throwing his fire wheel.
Okay, so fighting the final 3 bosses in this game is all about Ninpo management. They want to have just enough to have at least one Art of the Fire Wheel shot for the final form of the final boss. Both players taking out Jackio 1 very nicely.
Great job by both players. And the second form is down for Jimmy. Gus handling it with no problem. Both players have enough health here. They're just going to have to take out the head and then go straight for the heart.
So Jimmy getting a very quick kill on the head there with his last Art of the Fire Wheel shot. Now it's all about sword slashing this heart, and then we'll finish up Ninja Gaiden 2. Okay.
Wow, great run.
Team FrankerZ moves on.
And they are going to be switching right into Ninja Gaiden 3. There's no time to waste.
Team Kappa right behind.
And they're both through. Just an absolutely unbelievable race to this time. Now Ninja Gaiden 3 is a little different. You're going to see the jumps are a little bit floatier. There's this sword upgrade that kind of makes the sword's hitbox bigger, makes it easier to kill enemies. And one of the main differences is this game's kind of just less broken. There's no shadow clones and no spin slash.
Yeah, and there's no creative wall clips. You know, you can't damage boost in as many places. Yeah, like you said, there's no shadow clone, there's no spin slash. So any damage done to bosses is pretty much just one damage at a time. Another thing to note is that this is the US version of Ninja Gaiden 3. This is a very, very difficult game. Unlike the previous titles, almost every attack does at least 2 damage to you. And there's very few health drops. It's a very unforgiving game. So any mistakes cost quite a large amount of time in this game.
And both players through the first stage with no problem. Different stage hazards in this game. You can see there's quicksand in this stage, which is going to reoccur a little bit later in the game. It kind of pulls you down, so that's why you see the players kind of just jumping through there, trying to stay out of it as much as they can.
Yeah, and unlike the previous games, you'll see a lot of like stopping their movement and hesitation in order to make sure some of these hits work just right. Just the enemy placement in Ninja Gaiden 3 is extremely brutal compared to the past games. And just because you take more damage in general, players will want to be very careful.
And we're going to be coming up on the only auto-scroller in a Ninja Gaiden game, which I don't even know why, but they put one in. There's really good music, though, so we're probably going to go ahead and do some donations now. So if Butters BB wants to go ahead and do some donations, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Joit, for the $380 donation. Thank you for yet again hosting this great event. I was going to go with some friends this year, but money in school kept me from it. Instead, I'm putting this towards all child dungeons blindfolded. Keep the good stuff coming. Cheers, and go Team Kappa. Thank you very much, Shakma, for the $100 donation. A gift from France, the country of Punch-Out's worst fighters. Have mercy on Glass Joe. Have mercy on Glass Joe by knocking him out quickly. I put my donation on Broman's FF7 incentive.
Okay, as we're wrapping up the auto-scroller here, we're coming up to a pretty tricky boss in this game. This guy, while he moves consistently, he can. It's kind of random where he decides to stop, and the players will want to take damage in order to squeeze in some extra hits on the boss. And just due to the amount of damage enemies do in the game, and based on his random positioning, it could be a little scary. Both players have pretty good health. Both players with Fire Wheel, so I don't think this will be an issue.
And really only separated by a couple seconds at this point. They've kind of maintained the pace to this point. And a little bit of trouble there, but a good fight by both.
Okay, very nice. So here at the beginning of 3-1, okay, don't forget to hold left when you start the stage. But here at the beginning of 3-1, about halfway through the stage, there's some moving platforms, and as soon as you begin the stage, all the platforms begin moving. So it's important that they don't slow down at all in this first section, so that they can make that early platform cycle. Looks like both players are pretty good. Ooh, Rich taking a hit. You have a death there. Might as well get that death out of the way early on in the stage.
Yeah, this is Ninja Gaiden 3, folks. It's probably going to kill you at some point or another, so it might not be the last death that we see in this run. But is going to cost some time. Rish, obviously, with the world record, very experienced in this game, so he's going to just take it like a pro and keep on moving.
And Crack Attack moving into 3-2 here, we see the first appearance of a new weapon in Ninja Gaiden 3 called the Vacuum Blade. It's very nice. It can hit enemies above and below you and form like sort of a small shield. And once again, we see the return of the Invincible Fire Wheel as a usable item, like in Ninja Gaiden 2. I think it costs 20 Ninpo in this game.
Yeah, a little more expensive, but it's okay because there's so many refills for Ninpo that you can pretty much use it whenever you want. Yes. You don't have to worry about trying to conserve it too much. And there are less scrolls that are going to be picked up in Ninja Gaiden 3 than in Ninja Gaiden 2. They're not going to end with as much Ninpo, but again, like I said, because there's so many refills, they really don't want to bother going out of their way.
Okay, Crack Attack having a very solid 3-2. Even using the Invincible Fire Wheel during this boss fight to block some of their shots while dealing continuous damage. Looking very nice.
All right. Team FrankerZ pulling ahead for the moment, but like I said, Ninja Gaiden 3, anything can happen, especially when we get to the later stages. Things get really, really difficult. Alright, meanwhile, Rich getting his boss fight in. As you can see, he can use the Invincible Fire Wheel and still Sword Slash, which makes a lot of the boss fights a little bit easier. You can just kind of avoid taking that damage.
So stage 4-1 here, just like on 3-1 with the moving platforms, these moving platforms are also on a stage-based timer, so there's a lot of forced wait points as you just wait for the platforms to reappear. Something to note is the hitboxes on some of these enemies are deceptively large. You'll see them taking their time jumping over these large turret enemies.
Now, just a strange note here, but Crack Attack actually picked up a 1-up. Now, normally this wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary, but in this game, it's possible to come across situations where you want to force game over in order to get the Invincible Fire Wheel back, particularly in Act 7. Hopefully that doesn't happen to either player, but if it did, Crack Attack would have one more life he would have to waste. in that situation.
So moving into 4-2, this is a very scary stage here. These spikes deal 6 damage to the player if they touch them. So 3 hits on the spikes and you're out. Fortunately, the Invincible Fire Wheel does let you pass through it quite safely, so that's why it's such a critical item both in this stage and in the final stage of the game.
It's a pretty nice item, I
Yes.
think.
But you'll see Crack Attack doing this nice little trick here where he boosts off of the enemy instead of the spikes itself to deal less damage to him, but still give him some invulnerability frames to make it to the boss with the Vacuum Blade.
And let's see if he can get the 1 cycle here. Vacuum Blade, he's mashing it out. Got to get this guy before he goes back underground.
Okay,
He does.
looking good, looking good. Infested Rich right behind. Also having a pretty solid Act 4.
Rish really keeping pace well after he kind of had that death. He's really hasn't let it affect him too much.
Okay, still gets the boss before he buries. Very nice. Moving into 5-1. I keep saying this for every stage, but it just gets more and more insane with enemy placement. There are enemies everywhere in this game now. There's almost nothing you can do in some situations except for stop or just take large amounts of damage to get through. See the Vacuum Blade and the Fireball get a lot of good use here.
And you can hear Crack Attack with his patented yells that he does during the game. If anybody that saw him in the practice room is very familiar with this.
Crack Attack with pretty low HP at this point in 5-2, taking a death, unfortunately. At least it was at the beginning of the stage. Any death in this game sends you back to the beginning of the stage, and this is kind of a long stage. Might as well get it over with on the first screen.
And he picks up the sword upgrade there. Fire Wheel, he's back in business. Meanwhile, Team Kappa catching up a little bit.
Okay, so that first screen is pretty scary. All the significantly difficult parts are pretty much over with in stage 5, or in 5-2. Jumping over some of these turrets can be a little bit tricky, but with that extended sword power-up, hitting the enemies it makes hitting the enemies much more easy. And crossing this disappearing platform section, both players will want to pick up an Invincible Fire Wheel, once again just to make some of the traversal of these later screens a little bit easier.
And yeah, that's not much of a stage hazard there, as those guys are just going to be holding left the whole time, but it is there. And both players just moving really well. I mean, this has been just solid runs from everybody all around so far, and it's amazing the race is this close. All the Ninja Gaiden games are very, very punishing. So.
Oh, and you'll see both players going out of their way a little bit, losing a couple of seconds just to pick up Art of the Fire Wheel, just because of how much time it saves against this boss here.
And let's see, they want to kill him before he gets to the other side of the screen. Crack Attack not able to do it. Let's see if Rich can get it. Rich, a little bit of a better fight.
Oh, wow, taking some more time there. Both players thinking that once again.
And once again, we're dead even going into the next act, which of course is the return of ice physics.
Oh! Crack Attack having a little blunder there, but he's still okay. He's still
managed to recover both players through to the next screen.
So Act 6 is where the game gets pretty scary for health management. The next level, you want to go into the next level with as much health as possible. There are no health drops in this act, and of course 6-1 with the patented ice physics. A little bit more difficult in this game than in Ninja Gaiden 2, just with a lot of platforming and a lot of just really strange, awkward enemy placement for speedrunning. See them both stopping to take out both of these turrets. Almost necessary at this point, especially on Crack Attack's side with a little bit lower health than he wants.
And you can see the return of the quicksand over there for both players. They're going to have to do a lot of jumping and just kind of stay out of the quicksand. If you get dragged down too far in certain places, you just die also. So they're going to be just jumping around a lot.
Taking another hit here. This is very scary. He has 3
HP.
HP.
And the boss of this stage is extremely dangerous.
Certainly does not want to take any more damage before the boss fight, because during the boss fight, it's impossible to avoid taking damage sometimes. Luckily, I think even with bad luck and good execution, 3 health is still going to be good enough.
The boulders that fall from above deal 2 damage, so that would give him a buffer of getting hit 1 time with bad luck. So he does make it through. It looks like he is going to get there with 3 health. Hopefully he can survive. Rich is having no problem killing the boss. And let's see
what these boulders do. He doesn't take damage, so he's in pretty good shape. Don't touch the boss, though.
Here. And he gets...
Also doesn't take damage again. Looks like he can get it. He's
through.
He's in there.
All right, so Act 7, completely brutal. There are wind physics in this.
Rich
taking a death
right there.
But if you're going to die in Act 7, that's pretty much the best place for it.
It has to be now.
It has to be, because there is the only invincible fire wheel is in this screen, and you need it for the duration of Act 7. So both players going to get that invincible fire wheel, hopefully maintain it for the rest of the run.
Yeah, Act 7 is just, it's all about collecting fire wheel in 7-1 and keeping it for as long as possible, and also health management. There are very few opportunities for health, and there's just a huge amount of enemies in these later stages of the game. Here in 7-2, we'll see the players enter a particularly scary room with some more moving platforms that are on a global timer. They'll want to have very precise invincible fire wheel usage so they don't accidentally replace it with another weapon, and they also want to make this platform cycle right as they cross. Okay, Crack Attack in pretty good shape, and he's on the platform.
He's good. He's pretty happy about it.
And Rich is on the platform as well.
Very nice. All right, both players through. Things don't get any easier, though. It's just going to get more difficult. Act 7, Notorious.
Ooh, okay. Still looking pretty good. Now there's a backup health here in 7-2,
And Crack is going to have to
Crack
go ahead
does
and
go
collect
for it.
it.
That is
so
the only health opportunity.
He does lose a little bit of time. Rich is able to forego it because he does have the higher health count, so he will catch up a little bit there. And once again, we have the spike walls. This is why you need the invincible fire wheel in Act 7, because there's a lot of these spike rooms, and you'd have to wait for cycles of these spikes. But with the invincible fire wheel, you can just run right through, and you can see both players have it, and both players are cruising.
Right. I can't emphasize how brutal this stage is. It's extremely difficult, especially if you don't have invincible fire wheel. Just like in stage 4-2, the spikes in this do 6 damage if the players manage to touch them without being invulnerable. This platforming screen with all of the disappearing blocks is particularly nasty if you don't have invincible fire wheel.
And not to mention the final boss rush, it's certainly helpful to have invincible fire wheel. Not completely necessary, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
Okay, here we are moving into the final screen of the game at about like a 2-second difference between the two teams. It's still anybody's race.
Yes, this is really close.
Even not down to major mistakes, even just slight improvements, slight just cutting corners and optimization of their sword slashes could make or break this run here.
Yep, these boss fights.
Platforming's done, both players moving into the final boss.
1 second apart.
And first form down for both players.
Wow. This is incredible.
Rich with slightly lower Nimpo. He's going to only want to use exactly one invincible fire wheel during this first form, but I don't think it'll be a problem for him. Crack Attack taking the kill a little bit earlier, moving into the final form of the final boss. Now they want to use invincible fire wheel right away to destroy this the head section of the final boss. It takes quick work of them. Both players having at least one shot though, so we'll see this come down to the wire here, guys.
16 hits away. Who's going to get there first?
And Rich with the kill first,
assassin.
followed by Rich. Team FrankerZ takes it by 1 second, less than a second. This has been an incredible race here at AGDQ 2015. Round of applause for all the amazing Ninja Gaiden runners today. Dare I say that was the best race I've ever seen in my life.
I think that would qualify. Unbelievable, skillful play by all the runners. They're getting a standing ovation right now. Final times for each run. We had on Team Kappa, we had Ohone with 12:09. Gus Mancini at 23:31 was done. Riche at 37:23 finishing. And Dexter had a 12:22. Jimmy was at 23:24, and then Crack Attack 37:21.
So those are
just
the
a couple
split
seconds.
times. Those are the split times for each of the games in the series. So this is an incredible matchup. I mean, it was back and forth the whole time, and here we are finishing the game out within 1 second of each other, or within 2 seconds of each other at the final stage.
And that was just an absolutely incredible race. I have never seen anything like that. Well, I mean, Super Metroid last year was pretty darn close as well, but this is amazing. And we are actually going to have some runner interviews now. We're gonna throw it over to Dave. He's going to interview some of the runners after that incredible relay race. Unbelievable hype. Can we get another round of applause for the runners, please?
Yeah. Fantastic work, everybody.
Are we good? All set? Okay. Well, guys, that was just as incredible as it looked like it was going to be. With so many world record holders and everything here. That was an incredible job. What was it like being part of the first relay race and making it that good?
It was pretty nice. One thing I was kind of worried about is in these games, it's really easy to die, and if you die, you can lose a lot of time. So the fact that it was so close all throughout the race was kind of surprising, but I'm really glad it turned out that way.
Yeah, I just can echo what Jimmy said here, and just glad to be here with all the Ninja Gaiden players and I can't even talk. To make this a reality, I mean, so it's good to be here with all the Ninja Gaiden players and have a good time. So I love it.
Oh man, where do I start? I had a heart attack up there several times, let me tell you. But Team FrankerZ, I love these guys. He didn't believe that we were gonna win because of me, so so now I'm glad we proved him wrong.
So like you just said, there were a couple of heart attack moments, and I think a little bit in everybody's. What was there going into that you were ready, okay, this is going to be a heart attack moment, I know it. What parts were you afraid of in each of your stages?
There's not really a big part of Ninja Gaiden 2. There's just a lot of small things, basically. My death in 4-2 was kind of scary because I messed up there a couple times in practice. And when I did, it just like snowballed out of control. I just kept dying over and over again. So when I died, I was like, oh no, like I can't do that. And then in 7-2, that strat that I did was actually something I came up with, but I didn't mean to do it. It's not a marathon strat. I just accidentally did it. It's what I was doing. It's what I was doing when I was going for the record. So it was like in my muscle memory, and I just completely forgot to do the safe one, and I messed it up. So the fact that I actually survived there was pretty nice. But yeah.
Yeah, in Ninja Gaiden 1, I was actually more concerned about having Ohan beside me, actually. So, but throughout the whole run, I was actually thinking more of my teammates. I wanted to play safe throughout the whole run and do a decent run. But 5-1, especially with the bat, that's kind of in the middle of this stage. I normally do a kind of risky strat there, but went and played more safe and lost like 2 seconds or something like that. But and of course the Jakio fight, the heart, I actually got a heart attack there too. Actually, I mean, I didn't think it was gonna go that bad. I mean, if I knew if I was gonna take one hit, I'm gonna play it safe, but I took several hits, and he didn't even have like what am I gonna say? I can't even talk. I am so messed up in my head right now, but well, what I was gonna say, I was gonna play it safe on heart if I took a hit. Thank you.
Okay, so let me go level by level. Level 1, there's not too much to say. We get that pretty consistent. Level 2 is pretty scary at the boss if you have low health. None of us had low health, so we're good. Level 3, it gets a little scary as Rich happened, but like you can die so easily in that part. So you just gotta concentrate. You gotta get the jumps, otherwise you won't get those platforms. And then level 4, just the beginning part and some of the end parts. If you're not careful with the spikes, you can die really easily. And then level 5, oh man, level 5 and the last level are just heart attacks. I almost died about like 3 or 4 times just in that level. And I saw Rich almost died. It was intense. But he knows the quick kill, so he was able to gain some time. And then level 6, that was I thought I lost the relay because of that. I thought I really lost it because going to the boss with 3 health, you're just not going to survive. And I somehow just pulled it out. And then yeah, level 7, I played it a little safe because that level is, if you lose the fire wheel at 7-2 or onwards, the relay's gone at that point. It's like plus 4 minutes. So you just can't, me and Rich were just, yeah, but that's pretty much each level.
So did the strats begin when you guys were deciding who was going to run what, or in your case, was it something that was, oh, well, it's obvious, or did the strats start that early with, okay, well, we're both really good at this one, but I'll take this one, or what was the decision making for who's going to run which game?
We all sort of have specialized games. I think, like I've played 1 and 2. I'm not very good at 1. It's kind of clear cut who is going to play which game because, like, I have the record in 2. Dexter has a really good time in 1, and Crack he and Reach were going back and forth on record on 3. So I don't think there's really like any question there who's going to play what game.
Excellent. Now, is there one that's considered the hardest? Like, who had, honestly, if you guys were to say, who had the hardest time with these games?
I haven't played 3. I know 3 is really hard as a casual playthrough because you have limited continues in that one. So like if you just sit down and start playing the game, you're not going to get anywhere because you're just like it's hard. You're going to expect to die a lot in these games, but you're limited when you're playing 3 because you go so far, you die. You have to start all the way over. As for 1 and 2, I think 1 is harder to speedrun. But that's sort of a personal thing because I've heard a lot of people say 2 is harder. So I'm not really sure. Maybe Dexter can.
Well, yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2 for me I think is harder to speedrun. I find Ninja Gaiden 1 to be the easiest of all the 3, and like you said, on Ninja Gaiden 3 you are limited in the continues, and I found it to be so much more to going on the screen. You need to utilize your weapons so much more than Ninja Gaiden 2, I feel, and yeah, I find Ninja Gaiden 3 to be the hardest, actually, yeah.
3. I hate this game so much. You guys have no idea. I just want to be done with this game. I actually didn't submit this game. They wanted me for the relay, so I picked it up again, and eventually I didn't accept it. I'm like, nah, I don't want to play it again. But then they said Reach was the other player, so I had to do it. He's my greatest rival of all time. He's such a good player, so I had to do it.
We got time for one more? So keep it easy for the last one. Good answer. Why Ninja Gaiden?
This is one of my favorite games growing up. It's just a lot of fun to play. I think one of the reasons that I have a really good time in it is because when I sit down and play it, it doesn't feel like I'm grinding. I'm just enjoying playing the game. And that's really what you need to have if you're trying to go for a record or something. Because when it turns into work, there's no point in doing it anymore. I think the difficulty is also a good thing. I like playing hard games in general. So Ninja Gaiden sort of has that reputation as being a difficult series. Yeah, I just really like the game, so that's basically why I picked it.
Well, when I started out with speedrunning, I was kind of much browsing around on the internet and found SDA, and I wanted to pick up a hard game like Jimmy said, and started out with what was it? Ghosts and Goblins and Ninja Gaiden. So I came in contact with Sinister and Duckfist, who did the commentary, by the way. Great work. Yeah, I love you too, man. So we were pretty much pushing each other with weekly races and everything, and I was having a good time with Ninja Gaiden. It's a good game for speedrunning, so fast paced and everything, and I love the game. So yeah.
So initially, I started with Mega Man X. Do we have any Mega Man X players out here? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, and then I picked up this game. I picked up about 30 games that I run now, and I was like, I don't want to play this game. This game's too hard. So, and then I submitted to AGDQ, and I started playing it more and more and more and more. And then that's when me and Rich started going back and forth with the record, five or six times, right, Rich? Yeah, he was pushing me. I was pushing him. We were just going back and forth. That's how you get good time in the game. You just have somebody push you. So that's kind of why I stuck with this game now.
All right, well, thank you very much, guys. Congratulations. That was fantastic to watch.
All right, so that wraps it up for the Ninja Gaiden relay race. Once again, amazing job, Ohon, Dexter, Jimmy, Gus, Crack Attack, who's now breaking his Ninja Gaiden 3 cart, And of course, Infested Rich, you guys are all amazing. That was just a fantastic race. So another round of applause, please.